special city council meeting of October 10th. Let the record reflect that all council members are present with the exception of Chair Chaburka and Councilmember Nadolski, who are joining us online. Chair Chaburka and Councilmember Nadolski, would you like to say hello?
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for accommodating.
Thank you. We'll begin our meeting with the pledge, and I've asked that Councilmember White lead us in that pledge.
Please rise if you are able. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now have a moment of silence. Thank you. Are there any acknowledgements from the council?
To Richie, I was hoping that I could do an acknowledgement.
Yes, please.
I'd like to just recognize the fact that yesterday was Columbus Day, or Indigenous Peoples Day, as some people celebrate it here in Utah and across the nation. And I've been wanting for a while to think about how we might, as a council, do a land acknowledgement, and I haven't worked through exactly how we would do that, but I thought tonight what I would do instead is maybe recite Weber State University's land acknowledgement, because I think it represents how I'm wanting to acknowledge things today. So if you don't mind, I'll just take a moment to read this, and it's from Weber State University. Weber State University was built on land that has been cared for by the Fremont, Goshute, Paiute, Ute, and Shoshone peoples. As guests on their land, we would like to acknowledge them and their livelihoods for their past and current contributions in caring for the earth. The land we are meeting on today has long served as a site of gathering and exchange for Native and Indigenous peoples, which in the state of Utah includes 8 federally recognized sovereign tribes. It is they who have provided the landscapes and spaces for us to continue communing. It is important to recognize tribal sovereignty when we acknowledge the land. Tribal sovereignty is the right for American Indians and Alaskan Natives to govern themselves, a right the United States Constitution recognizes. American Indian and Alaskan Native tribal nations have distinct governments that hold the same authority as federal and state governments, thus allowing them to govern their communities, preserve their culture, control their economy, define citizenship, enforce laws, and regulate property and land use, all of which further protect Indigenous land and people. We would also like to acknowledge and honor the enslaved and colonized laborers who built and maintained the brick and mortar foundation of our country. They too sustained the land only to be mistreated continuously on an individual, institutional, and societal level. Weber State University recognizes, validates, respects, and honors these sovereign nations and their nations, cultures, and histories. In our work, we will continue to pay our respects to the elders who lived here before us and to the generations to come. And there's a special thanks to the Weber State student, Christian Falmasavan. I don't know if I said that correctly. I hope I did, for their lead role in developing this statement. And I thank you for allowing me to do so.
Thank you, Chair Chaburka. Any other acknowledgements? Okay. Our next section of the meeting will consider the approval of minutes, first for the special meeting of January 10th, 2022. Councilmember Blair.
Yeah, one minor correction. The minutes are correct. In here it says the special meeting of January 10th, 2022 is actually the minutes of 2023. So just on here it's not correct, but the minutes is actually correct. And the content of those minutes is correct. I reviewed that. So
thank you. And for the closed session of October 11th, 2022, I guess since today is the 10th, it would have to be 2022. Yeah. Councilmember Nadolski.
Art, now you got me worried. I didn't catch that.
You're
different
okay.
than you see it in the others too? Okay. Yeah, the minutes are good. Make a motion that we accept them as presented.
Second.
We have a motion to accept the minutes with the correction of the special meeting of January 10th, 2023, or 2022 to actually 2023 by Councilmember Nadolski, and a second by Councilmember Blair. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Hi.
All right. And we will now invite Barton Brierly to come up on our next section, the proposed zone text amendment, use and development standards in M1 and M2 zones, tabled from the October 3rd, 2023 meeting.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Ritchie, and good evening, City Councilors. So this is a continuation of our meeting on October 3rd. And just remember, on October 3rd, I gave you a staff report, you received public input, and then we reached the point of making individual decisions on different points, and you moved to continue it to today. So, because I know there were a couple councilors missing at that point. So that's where we are. So I'm not going to give a full staff report. I just want to give a little summary of where we are and why we're here and what the decisions that you have before you are. So I was reminded of the strategic plan that the council developed a couple years ago and engaging the community on what are your biggest priorities. And the number one priority from our citizens was economic development, this goal that I want to live in a community where there are well-paying employment opportunities that allow me to provide for my family. That was the top of the list. So this particular project is directly related to that goal. We want to maximize the value output of Ogden's remaining industrial land. We want to promote businesses that add jobs for our citizens and economic output for the entire community. I also want to point out that we want to provide balance. Balance is important. We need commercial land, we need industrial land, we need housing of different types, and we need to use our industrial land well and have it a well-balanced economic community. And there are places where we felt that we were out of balance. So this project is really rebalancing what's allowed. And I remember I showed this at the last meeting. We just summarized what the impact of different sort of industrial jobs are and the importance of it. If you look at the red is sort of the direct outputs, and then the gray is the indirect or induced output. So if you do an industrial job, you'll get other jobs in other sectors. You'll get jobs for, you're going to eat at a restaurant, you're going to stay at a motel, you're going to build a house, your kids are going to go to school. And so all those other jobs come out of one industrial job. Earnings is important. You look at, for every $10 that are earned in a manufacturing job, there's $16 in other sectors that are earned. And so looking at that goal of providing jobs for our community, it shouldn't be a surprise that we're really interested in and promoting those sort of sectors that provide these great spin-off benefits. And we've talked about, eliminating or modifying some of the uses that are allowed in the M1 and M2 zones. We haven't really talked about what is allowed, and we kind of forgot that part of the discussion. So I wanted to bring this up. This is a list of the things that are allowed in our industrial zones. And there are lots of possibilities of what can do. And just over the last couple weeks, I've gotten several calls. One gentleman has a construction business, and he wanted to have a shop and a place to store his equipment. That's permitted. Had another gentleman call me, say, hey, I want to do some warehousing for some businesses and help store and ship their equipment. That's a permitted use. I had a gentleman say, hey, we want to do some manufacturing. We want to build some product for other customers. That's a permitted use. Another one wanted to assemble some parts for different businesses. that's a permitted use. So there's a lot more yeses on the list than the nos. In looking at rebalancing this, there were some uses that we're proposing tonight to either limit or no longer permit new ones, just as part of this rebalancing. And so why would we want to rebalance? The particular uses we looked at, there's some that have a lot of employment. There are some that have very little employment, things like junk and salvage yards and personal storage, very little employment. We look at wages. Obviously the manufacturing jobs have much higher average annual wages than other ones. And if we look again back at the strategic direction, where I want to live in a community where there are well-paying employment opportunities that allow me to provide for my family, it shouldn't be surprising, I hope, that we're trying to rebalance this to promote those sort of industries that provide more employment and well-paying jobs. So looking at this list, things like towing an impound lot, taking up 2 acres with vehicles that are stored that have been impounded. What kinds of jobs does that provide? What kind of benefits to the community? It does provide benefits, but is it as much as the other kinds of jobs? Junk or salvage yard. Again, it does provide jobs. It does provide some economic inputs, but is that really achieving our goal? Personal storage, again, very low employment. So it's proposing to limit those things. Having those athletic facilities in the manufacturing zone, less input. So that's the reason why we're proposing these changes. And really, if we look at, so what happens if we lose a personal storage project to another community? They will have, in this area, there'll be opportunities for personal storage. Acknowledge that this limits the uses that a property owner can put to their property. They still have a lot of opportunities. If a junk and salvage yard needs to go to another community, and we get a use that provides more employment, we feel like that would be a good outcome. Remember that the Planning Commission looked at this, and the Planning Commission spent a lot of time looking at these things and studying them, and they do recommend that you adopt the proposed amendments. So looking through the process, we wanted to get to the individual decisions on these particular points of the council kind of wanted to vote individually on. We divided it into, there's 3 ordinances and 5 different topics. The reason we weren't able to divide them into 5 different ordinances is these first 3 are all amending the same table. So we kind of need to take these as one ordinance. But you can do individual motions. If you like all 3, then you can just do a motion to adopt the ordinance 2023-55. If there's one of those 3 that bothers you, you could make a motion to amend ordinance 23-55 to modify that one and vote on the rest. So that first decision, it would be, the junk or salvage yards, as we mentioned. That's, we feel that's a use where we need some rebalancing. We have a lot in our community, and it's a use that just has relatively low employment, and the benefits aren't as great as for other uses. So if you'd like to accept the Planning Commission's proposal to no longer allow them, you can move to accept that proposal, or you can simply just take no action and then just adopt the whole ordinance 23-55 without the amendment. Or if you choose to, if you want to continue to allow them, then there's language there that you could amend the ordinance. So I'll pause there.
Thank you. Barton. Any questions or discussion with the council? No, this is one I think we've all wrestled a lot with, right?
Can you go back a slide to the one more slide? Sorry. Well, I guess another slide. There you go. That's one.
Okay.
That one, it's easier for my brain to comprehend what you're proposing if I look at that. So thank you for that. So if, for instance, the council decided that perhaps that motion or action one was fine except for, let's say, indoor athletic facilities. Is that just we want to amend this ordinance to eliminate that as a prohibition? Is that what we would say? Something like that?
Yes, you would. Yes, if you wanted to delete that, you would move to amend the ordinance 2355, and I've got some language there that
Okay.
you could do that.
I don't, I'm really curious to see what my colleagues think about this. I wonder if you could put that list back up there again, and that helps me. I don't know if it maybe helps them too, but I guess I would pose the question to all y'all is, what about this is not appropriate in your mind, or is it all maybe problematic?
I'm okay with with removing the indoor athletic facilities from that list. If we can have soup kitchens and pet services and churches, I don't see why we can't have indoor
Dance
athletic.
studios.
Yeah, dance studios.
There's also another item, this personal storage, and you're recommending to limit that. I could maybe get on board with that as long as if we didn't limit it as much as you've requested. I think there is a place for personal storage, and maybe even on the ground floor. I do kind of think that the trend is to go vertical, and that does help us with our land use. You're condensing that use a little bit if you do that. And maybe that helps, and it helps to achieve the goal the administration was trying to achieve with that. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I agree. I at first I thought about it and thought, I see what they're trying to do, but then the more I thought about it, I thought, I agree. I think the trend is to be going more vertical, not so much sprawled out on a giant parcel of land, but to go more vertical. And I agree. I think with what we've proposed does encourage that, and so I'm more excited in the direction we're going. And I'm like you said, I'm not tied to the retail on the main floor as long as we are building, because they're all going to be indoors anyway, and as long as we're building vertical, I think that accomplishes what we're trying to do.
Yeah, in my mind, there are some things that. I'm in the wrong seat. Oh, sorry.
Move your feet, lose your seat.
Thanks, Councilmember Heyer.
Been called worse. Yeah. Losing my pronouns there.
Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say, but oh yeah, there are some things that really do need to be coming into a storage unit from the ground floor. It's not practical to hike it up an elevator or whatever else. So, anyway.
I think
Go ahead, Angela. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I just never know exactly when to interrupt. I was just going to say that I think I've, kind of made my perspective pretty clear, is that I don't mind the changes to the design standards overall for the M1, M2. I just have a hard time right now agreeing to all these changes across all the area of the map of the M1, M2. So that's just where I am right now.
Councilmember Heyer, I will just piggyback on what I said earlier too. I do think you mentioned earlier that, or in the last meeting, that there were, you'd talked to some people or constituents that had properties and were looking to do this in the future. And I do believe I believe this still gives them that opportunity. And so I think if we can make a little amendment there or make a little tweak there, I think it does continue to help move the personal storage in a down the path that the city wants to go. Plus, it does allow for those residents or those business owners or landowners that have been looking to do something like that. It still provides them that opportunity.
Okay, that leaves me with the question then, if we want to change what that limit is that just also something we're going to include in the motion? To just say we don't want to exclude storage on the ground floor?
Can you hold that question?
What's that?
Just kidding.
Glenn, is that something,
Yeah, so that specific language is in the note number 5 that's in just underneath that table. And it says within note number 5, personal storage units may be allowed on upper floors of where the ground floor has a different permitted or conditional use. So maybe Barton can make sure I'm not missing something else, but I believe that's the reference to that. So
Yes, it is. And, you could propose an amendment that would say perhaps that if 50% of the ground area had to be a different use or something like that.
I think, and just as we're kind of thinking, I think Chair Chaburka she shared her feelings on the design standards, being okay with those. I feel good about those changes, but I also find it hard to make a sweeping change over all of those. I understand, and what I wrestle with is I understand the idea of trying to move to the highest and best use. I just feel like if the market forces are there that we've been told are there, then that would happen naturally, and I'm not seeing how it would be necessary to limit it from a legislative standpoint. That's where my hang up is really.
So Ken, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So does that mean you're in favor of ordinance 3, but not 1 and 2? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's where I would
Okay.
be. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So my worry was for the junk and salvage yards, the rebuildable car lots, and recycling and collection centers. I do worry that we don't have a more surgical option that would provide buffers for our open space and rivers. So if we reject the proposed ordinance, then we allow for it to happen anywhere. But if we accept it, we can't allow it anywhere. So it kind of goes against what you said. So
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that I'd like to not take the chance, having had that lived experience, and removing those kinds of uses from our riparian areas was a massive undertaking and a huge expense. And I just don't want to go backwards that way. So I'd like to uphold that portion of the proposal, at least until we have some buffers or some overlays or some sort of a different protection in place for those areas.
I could get behind that.
What option is that, Ben?
That would be in
1?
In ordinance 1.
Okay.
Upholding the proposed ordinance for junk and salvage yards, rebuildable car lots, recycling collection centers. until such time that we have buffers in place for our river corridors.
And then you would also eliminate the entertainment and fitness centers,
From that.
modify the personal storage to include ground floor. Is that what Councilmember Heyer was suggesting? You're okay with that?
Are you asking me or Rich?
Yeah, I nodded at him.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
or both of you. I'm asking both of you, and you're both nodding, so, okay.
Barton, I just have a random question here. So even on personal storage units, do you have to have some sort of sewer, water, fire suppression? I mean, do you have to have utilities that actually go to that building somehow?
Yes, you do. You can, if you're in an area that doesn't have sewer, you may be able to get away with a septic if you don't have high groundwater. But you do need a fire line there, and you do need fire protection and storm drain and utilities available.
Councilmember Lopez, did you have any other thoughts or? Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Councilmember White.
So as we, in order to do this and move forward, I would assume that as we look at the general plan, which will take a while to get done, will some of this come up in a general plan or a zoning and changing? I mean, where will this come up again at?
Yes, it will come up in the general plan. Because we will look at things like environmental sustainability and protection of our natural resources,
So things
and,
like Councilmember
and
Nadolski
economic
is saying,
development and
yeah.
all those things.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think during a general plan update, everything is on the table. Everything maybe won't be drilled down on, but certainly things like this could be. And there's a lot of stakeholders at the table when you do a general plan update. Lots of public input, and I think that's what comforts me a little bit. Now I know it's going to take longer, but it's maybe the most public-centered way to do it. We can also, I'm happy that that's imminent. Maybe eminent's maybe not a great word, but it's
And then
not going to happen tomorrow.
one other quick question. So the design standards, are we still set on 3 out of 12 or 3 out of whatever? What are we? Can you go to that again?
Yeah.
11?
I don't have any problem at all with the 2023-57, which is the design standards.
Okay.
I think that looked pretty good to me, and so I wouldn't propose any changes to that one. I don't know if anybody else would or not.
No, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but that is included in 2023-56, right? Those design standards, or no? Or those are totally separate?
Those are separate.
Those are
Yeah,
separated.
they're
Okay, yeah. So it was the other.
And just for the sake of saying it again, it's not changing anything, or we're not
Yeah.
requiring anyone that currently owns a business to change their
Right.
design standards or height limit or anything like that. Is that
That's correct.
okay?
Or the ability to run a junk and salvage yard if they're already,
If they already
If
there.
they're already doing it.
if they're already doing that. Yes.
It does affect their ability to expand
Or
or that kind of thing.
Adult
But
entertainment
that's
center.
it.
The adult theater.
I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
don't know how to make
Any
that
other
change.
discussion or questions or clarification?
I appreciate the discussion on the first ordinance, but I appreciate it, and
You okay with it?
I'm okay with that.
I've got some motion language I could try.
Just before you do that, Chair Chaburka, any other thoughts?
Thanks, Ken.
No, but thank you so much for asking me.
All right.
At the risk of looking a fool, I'm going to give this a shot. So I'll make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2023-55 with the exception of the proposed development standards for junk and salvage yards, rebuildable car lots, and recycling collection centers.
Oh, do we have to amend the
Wait.
ordinance? We have to, a motion to amend?
We have to
Prior
amend the, we have to amend the ordinance
Amend the
first.
ordinance. But I think you wanted to do
I think
the
you want to do
reverse.
the reverse,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
you wanted to do the reverse of that.
Yep.
So your motion would be to amend proposed ordinance to exclude the entertainment, or,
Yeah.
that's what we would be
Yeah,
motioning first.
to
and
leave
that's
entertainment-
You're right. Sorry. You're right. Let me try again.
It's okay.
Motion fails for lack of a second and lack of a clue. I'm a motion maker. I make a motion to adopt proposed ordinance
Not to
2020
amend.
To amend.
To amend.
to amend proposed ordinance 2023-55 to exclude entertainment and fitness centers, RV storage lots, and personal storage.
Second.
We have a motion to amend the proposed ordinance 2023-55 to exclude from the ordinance entertainment and fitness centers, RV storage lots, and personal storage in the M1 and M2 zones by Councilmember Nadolski and a second by Councilmember Lopez. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Can we
Aye.
amend it?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have another amendment we'd like to?
No, I was just curious. I mean, I don't know if that was,
You can-
We can amend it again, I think. If there was some.
it was the entertainment, the
personal-
entertainment centers was great.
You're talking about the personal storage.
Personal storage, yeah.
Yeah, that was left out of any change. It's currently, it wouldn't change.
Would remain
anything.
unchanged.
Okay, okay.
And your thought, Councilman Blair, was to continue, or to make it, to remove the language requiring 100% ground floor non-storage unit.
Just amend that.
So is there a feeling of adjusting that amendment to include personal storage units, but change the ground floor requirement?
I'm okay doing that in a general plan setting, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Vice Chair, would you mind if I just get some clarification? So based on the amendment, you want to take out the changes related to entertainment and, what was it, entertainment, fitness?
RV storage lots and personal storage. Therefore, keeping the junk and salvage yards, rebuildable car lots, and recycling collection centers.
So no changes, so you want to keep it, never mind.
So the amendment is to keep the developments, revised and use and development standards for junk and salvage yards, rebuildable car lots, recycling collection centers, and that would be it. And then excluding from the ordinance any development standards to be applied to entertainment and fitness centers, RV storage lots, and personal storage.
Correct.
Does that sound, everyone good with that amendment? Okay,
So you ready for motion then?
so
Did you actually get to vote on the last one?
I'm
On,
okay.
on the amendment.
I'm
Okay.
okay
on the
with that.
amendment, so
Yeah. I just didn't hear the aye,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make sure. for the
do we have any
recording.
clarification on the ayes? It was
Aye.
unanimous, or not,
But-
it wasn't,
Chair,
oh, sorry,
Chair
go ahead.
Chair Chaburka.
Chair Chaburka, sorry.
Yes.
Is that
Oh.
Question
Aye
is,
or-
what was your vote on the?
Was your vote aye on the on the
The
amendment?
amendment.
She said yes.
amendment?
One more time, Council or Chair Chaburka, was your vote? What was your vote on the amendment to the ordinance?
Oh, we lost her.
Maybe we lost her.
by keeping these in, by keeping the storage lots.
Now we're going to vote on to adopt it.
Yeah, so by keeping the storage lot, the RV storage lots, personal storage in there.
Remove.
Hold on, what does that do? Meaning we're going.
Okay, so from what I can see,
Well, that's a good.
we have amended proposed ordinance 2023-55. And we are now, that we can now accept
Just want to,
yep.
and this question's for Glenn. I just want to make sure on the RV storage lots and personal storage, if we didn't include those, no, we did. We took them out with that, right? So, so we are not going with the recommendation.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Glad I'm not the only one that got mixed up
Yep.
at first.
Okay.
Okay, Chair, Acting Chair.
I'm back now. I'm so sorry. I keep getting dropped from the hotel Wi-Fi, but I said aye the last time. I really appreciate you trying to ask me.
That's okay. Okay, thank you. So I think you get,
Unanimous.
okay, we're good. All right,
that's-
ready for another motion?
I'd make a motion that we adopt amended ordinance 2023-55.
Second.
We have a motion to accept proposed ordinance 2023-55 by Councilmember Hyer, second by Councilmember Lopez. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair,
Aye.
Councilmember Hyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ritchie,
No.
Chair Chaburka,
Aye. I think it's
Okay.
better the way it is now.
That passes. Okay. And I would just say, just from my comments earlier, I totally respect Councilmember Nadolski's perspective and dealing with the riparian areas and the river, and I do get that. I think just maybe there's a different way, and I see this, I can see this working as well to where we restrict it, and then maybe we can open that up later on, but I just felt like it was too much for me, so that's where I stand, so thank you.
And I first would like to thank Barton and all those who went through this. I understand this is a major undertaking, and I appreciate you bringing something forward that is forward thinking, that is trying to move us forward, to I think what the future is bringing, and so I agree with. I'm happy to do that in a general plan update. I just would like to address the storage lots and personal storage in the general plan. So that's all.
If I might just chime in too, I kind of, all of this stuff I think is going to be addressed, or can or should be addressed in a general plan update. And so why do it now in that event? And there's probably some things that we probably don't want to see more of before that. And that's kind of why I voted for what I did.
Yeah.
If in that process we determine that maybe there is a good use for more of those, I think we can include that. So it was just which way do you turn the valve? Do you turn it all on or
Yeah.
yeah? And so that's, like I said last week, I really am a capitalist at heart, and I think people ought to be able to do what they want with their land for the most part, you know, without hampering other people's quality of life and value. And so that's why I voted the way I did on this motion. So I'm eager to see what happens on the next two.
Yeah.
So
Stay tuned. We have two more to look at here. So
Can I
Go
make
ahead.
a comment? I totally understand where you're coming from. I actually feel the same way completely. I'm really across the board pretty uncomfortable with the proposal. Part of me wondered if we should just make a motion not to accept any of it, but I wanted to. I just had that concern for the rivers in
the river,
particular,
yeah.
but I do want to see us be a lot more surgical. It was either an all out or all in, you know, there just wasn't a great place on either of those options. So,
yeah. No, absolutely. Anybody else? Chair Chaburka, any comments?
No, I appreciate the compromise as well, because I was definitely in the same boat where I was worried about it being too far reaching. So I appreciate the compromise.
Thank you. Barton, next step.
Okay. So we divide this into 3 ordinances. So the next ordinance that we had talked about was to limit the area that towing yards and auto repairs could use. So again, with the idea of these are uses that have really low employment. They're needed in the community. You have to have them. But let's limit the space that they take up so that the space could be used for uses that provide more employment. So the proposal would be to limit a towing yard to 1/2 acre of storage and to limit auto repairs to 5,000 square feet of storage. Knowing that any auto repair is going to have some vehicles there, but they don't need acres of vehicles.
I have my little devious mind kind of kicked in just now, and I wondered if I was a towing operator and I'm towing more cars than will fit in 5,000 square feet. So I just open up another business, a DBA, and just put a fence down and have another 5,000 square feet. And when I fill that up, I just, what prohibits somebody from doing that?
They would have to have a separate business license, but you're right. That is a loophole or a way that a business could do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So this one is,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I'm actually okay with this.
Wait, Councilman, did you say 5,000 square feet for the towing company?
For the tow yard, the impound lot.
Half an acre.
It'd be a 1/2 acre for an impound lot.
1/2 acre.
5,000 square feet for a auto repair
Oh,
business.
Correct.
okay.
So
Oh,
just
okay.
want-
All right. All right.
Sounds
I'm
better?
corrected. Yep, I'm corrected.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're not limiting the new business, we're just limiting the size of it.
Yes.
Okay. Just
Do you want to
making,
limit the new business?
no, I'm repeating what he's saying, just to try to be clear.
So if you're repairing more than 5,000 square feet of cars, then you get the DBA.
Yeah.
That's your. Okay. Okay, any discussion from the council on this or questions for Barton? Who wants to lead us off?
Seeing no other discussion, I'll make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2023-56.
Second,
We have a motion to adopt proposed ordinance 2023-56 by Councilmember Blair and a second by Councilmember White. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski,
No.
Councilmember White,
aye.
Vice Chair Ritchie,
No.
Chair Chaburka,
No.
Councilmember Blair,
Aye.
Okay, that passes. And I would just say my vote's consistent with my previous answer on the other ordinance. I feel like maybe there's a different way to approach this without limiting the property owner on his property.
Agreed.
Okay. Chair Chaburka, care to comment?
Yeah, pretty much the same. And not that I don't agree with, like we were saying, thinking about these things, the general plan, et cetera, but that huge long list of all the other things people can do in these zones, I'm just not limiting this particular use for this type of business.
Okay. All right, proposed ordinance 2023-57, Barton.
Okay, so this one was the design standard ordinance. This has a couple different purposes. One is we're trying to maximize the use that people can make of their property. So we're really eliminating some standards or reducing them, such as the impervious coverage standard, the rear yard setback, reducing a front yard setback in M1. We're also trying to up the standards of attractiveness in the area. And attractiveness is not just in, it looks good, but attractiveness is in, can we attract new businesses there? And so setting things that, some minimum design standards that, and how things look, and that's the pick 3 architectural design standards. And also trying to protect when industrial properties are adjacent to residential. So setting some buffer standards between the two uses. And then requiring incremental compliance upon improvement and expansion. So again, if somebody's doing what they're doing, you don't have to change. But if you're doing an expansion and there's a little bit that you can do to come closer to the standard, then that would be required. So these are the pick 3 out of 11 standards. And if you choose to adopt these standards, it'd be adopting ordinance 2023-57.
Thank you, Barton. Any questions for Barton or discussion on the council?
I think this could work. It doesn't seem onerous. Some of the at least the photos that were showed to us, that the doing it one way versus doing another one certainly did improve the overall durability and look. So I don't think that's a bad idea. I still question a little bit how well it will work in practicality. People tend to find the easiest common denominator, and so I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out. But I think conceptually it sounds pretty good.
Perhaps another item that could be addressed in the general plan update.
Certainly.
As an idea. With that, any other comments from the council or questions? Chair Chaburka?
No, I don't have a lot of concern with this. I like that there are ways that people can determine which thing they want to do. So I think that's helpful as far as not making the cost onerous. People can choose things that are a little bit simpler, or they can, really go all out. So I don't mind it.
Yep. And I like the changes to the setbacks and the other adjustments that were the previous slide, a couple slides ago. So I think that improves the ability to use that land.
I have a question. Why did we not address signage within this?
We are updating the sign code too. The one thing that the Planning Commission did add on there was that if you do individual channel letter signs, that would count as a point. And that was the extent that the Planning Commission had thought about it. So.
And what other way would you, just curious about what your thinking is on?
We go to great lengths of, we want it to be muted colors, and yet we can have
Any kind of sign?
Yeah, the swirly guy, whatever.
Sure.
Just wondered.
Okay. All right. Doesn't appear to be any other discussion. Simply want to.
Chair, I'd make a motion then that we adopt ordinance 2023-57.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-57 by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Blair. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski.
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Blair,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ritchie,
Aye.
Chair Chaburka.
Aye.
And that passes.
Chair, I am having some serious regret here as I let this marinate, and I would like to make a motion to reconsider our vote on ordinance 2 of this section, so that we could do a revote.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Nadolski to reconsider the vote for proposed ordinance 2023-56. Is this a voice vote or is this a voice vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes.
And well, who made the motion the first time?
You can make it.
I think
I could.
Justin,
I did.
Councilmember Lair made the motion the first time. Okay. What's that?
Prevailing side, right?
That's done. Anybody can make this motion again.
Okay.
I just thought maybe the original motion maker might want to remake it.
Well, do you want to explain why you're wanting to reconsider?
I do tend to, this was a pretty balanced weight for the most part, but I think my value to property rights and those kind of things kind of swung a little bit since we heard the no votes and stuff, and so I'm probably inclined to change my vote on that item, which I think in this case is going to change whether it passes or fails.
Okay. This is new territory for the new guy.
I can make the motion again. It'd be the same motion.
Yeah.
But
That.
okay. Again, I will make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2023-56.
Nope. Okay. Do we have a second? Nope. Okay. So do we have another motion?
Okay, Chair, I will make a motion that we not adopt proposed ordinance 2023-56.
Second.
We have a motion to not adopt proposed ordinance 2023-56 and the motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Nadolski. This is a roll call vote.
Can we have some
Or-
clarifying? So
Yes.
what's the maximum size that we could have for towing right now?
There's no limit.
How about auto bodies?
In the M2 zone, it's 80% of the lot, and in the M1 zone, it is 50% of the lot, I believe.
And typically, how big is a lot?
Some of these they can be half acre, some of them are 5 acres, so you can have 2.5 acres or 4 acres.
Do they follow the same standards for riparian areas, or just curious of?
I mean,
Do they follow do you have-
landscaping and things like
No,
that?
meaning more as far as disposal of oil and gas and different tires. Does it follow the same? Something like I would if it was in a downtown area, for instance.
Yes, they have the same environmental standards. There isn't this particular setback from the river, so
There is not.
there's not.
There's currently no setback from the river, so they could operate proximity to the river, is what you're saying.
But this ordinance wouldn't limit that.
I'm going to change that.
That's correct.
Well, now I'm thinking about.
What's that?
This is the challenge for me on this whole package of proposals, is I really can't know what the impact is and isn't. It's so broad and so sweeping that I don't know all the uses that we're excluding, yet it's so broad and so sweeping, I don't know all of the uses that we're going to allow if we deny. So that's been my challenge all along. Like, I just can't seem to quantify the impact of my decision, and that's not a good place to be for decision makers. But
Okay. So we did it. We do have a motion to not adopt proposed ordinance 2023-56 by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Nadolski. And it is a roll call vote. And before we get to that, is there any other discussion or concerns or questions or?
Well, I think just to clarify, since it is the opposite vote of what we voted on before, you're probably going to keep your, a vote, a yay defeats this motion.
Yeah, a yes is a no and a no is a yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, not
Wait.
defeats the ordinance.
Yeah.
We should have just taken.
I think it's the other
first
way,
motion
right?
and just go with that.
A yes,
until-
an aye vote, or yes vote says we do not adopt. A no vote says we
Right.
do adopt, or do we do adopt? Or
Well, it
just,
doesn't.
it,
It
no,
doesn't.
it just,
doesn't
yeah,
pass.
it just doesn't pass.
Back in limbo.
Correct. So
Okay.
yes.
I'm voting yes.
So an aye vote says we do not adopt. All right, Jason.
We're just trying to make it super exciting for you, Ken.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, you can hum.
I'm gonna-
I don't need to hope to find out. Within one.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for throwing all this at you. I just thought it was important.
I'm voting yes.
Right?
You guys are voting no.
He's ready to call a roll if you're ready.
To not.
Not adopt. So
Yeah,
you have to
no.
vote no
I'm no.
to, right?
Okay.
No. Yes.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
No.
Councilmember Blair,
No.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez,
No.
Vice Chair Ritchie,
Aye.
Chair Chaburka,
Aye.
I think Councilmember Heyer was just trying to confuse us.
Not really.
Okay.
I really am apologetic. It should be cleaner than this. But
So
this has been a kind of a challenge for me the whole time we've had this discussion. And the little angel on this shoulder versus the angel on that shoulder, the one started slapping me around after I made the voice. Hey, you screwed up, buddy. So that's why I really felt like we needed to, in order to be true to.
So they were both
values.
angels?
two angels.
Well,
I have a devil on the left.
oh, you got to get an angel for that shoulder.
It's the devil that looks like an angel that you have to watch out for, right? Okay, so we have, I guess that concludes this unfinished business. And I guess that concludes this. Right. Okay.
Can I make just one comment?
Yes, comment by Councilmember.
I'm going to make a procedural motion. No, I'm just kidding. No, on ordinance 1 with the river corridors, my intention is not to hold up those uses forever. I just need some certainty that we are protecting our natural resources and natural assets from uses that I don't think are appropriate in that narrow corridor. So my hope would be that we could see some sort of an overlay sooner rather than later, because like Rich, I don't want to impede private property rights any more than is necessary to protect our natural assets. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are now at a public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the council regarding concerns or ideas on any topic. To be considerate of everyone at this meeting, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please, when you step to the podium, state your name for the record. And those online, you can raise your hand and if you're on the phone call, it's *9 to get into this thing. So, and Brandon, if you'll let us know if there's any comments online, that way we'll know to call them. And Councilmember Nadolski, could you run the clock?
You got it. I nailed it last time, so.
Nailed it last time?
Yeah.
Good deal. I watched that.
Good evening, Council. Stephen Van Wagner. So thankful to be in the chambers this evening and witness government in the process of making good decisions with material that was coming to you fast. I don't know that you got all your answers to the questions that you've been asking over the past couple of weeks as you deliberated on this, and I commend all of you on working together, finding compromise and coming to your decisions you did tonight with a lot of pressure. It was confusing to follow the process as a citizen, watching it in the work sessions and coming here before you. Thankful to Glenn and Barton for making those processes much clearer so that you can all have the wisdom to make those decisions that you did tonight. And so thankful to all of you, and just wanted to say thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Teresa Bramwell. I just came from the Weber County meeting. They're discussing the new public safety building, and I got up and spoke and told them that I was Weber County's largest crime victim and anything that could happen to fix that. And there's a large bond. It's going to cost homeowners $4.50 a month and businesses $8.50 a month. But what they're building down there by the jail is some mental health and some, I guess, something to reduce recidivism in the population, because 70% of the population of the jail is either mentally ill or on drugs. That was the statistic that they threw out today. So I wanted to go and speak there to let them know that I am tired of being a crime victim, and I hope that their large amount of money that they're going to spend is going to fix it. And I wanted to come here today because I haven't been here since the primary, and I wanted to thank everybody that's running for offices in Ogden. We need good people, and I appreciate that there's good people that are putting themselves out there and helping us. So I appreciate you. And thank you.
Thank you.
Did you, just real quick, did I hear you say 70%?
I believe it was 69, but then they kind of rounded it up to 70. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Anybody else in the chambers?
Me.
Thank you.
Well, Laura Lewis, Ogden
Thank you.
resident. I don't like this. I still go back to the same idea. I don't think we should control how people use their property. I believe we protect the environment, but I don't believe manufacturing facilities are really any cleaner than a lot of storage units or things like that. So I think you got to look at a bigger picture. I know you're following the development plan for the city, but there's also people here in the city that you need to take into consideration too, the public. And I agree with Councilman Ritchie's point that if there wasn't a demand, they wouldn't be there. So, and then one other thing that came to light this week, we've learned that Mark Johnson has been hired back as a consultant at a very significant salary. Were you aware of that, and did you vote on that? And how did this happen? That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other comments in the chambers? Doesn't appear to have any. We don't appear to have any comments online, and we do have somebody in the chamber who's moving up. So, come on up. Come on down.
I don't really have that much to write about today.
Okay.
But I agree with Ben.
Please state your name, please.
It's Teresa Holmes. I always forget to do that. Ogden resident. I agree with Ben on leaving spots for wildlife along the river. There's beaver. There's all kinds of raccoons, which are my buddies, and birds. You know, I mean, you can't. They'll be in people's backyards if you don't leave them spaces. And I really like wildlife. if anybody was a neighbor of mine, they would want to move. Anyhow, what I'm up here for is I would love to see the museums get accreditation. Now that the station has a building, they have the land, they have the collections, we can put in for museum accreditation. We couldn't all these years because we didn't have the land that the collections were in. You know, there's a lot to it. I mean, you just can't do it. It might take a year putting in applications, but I mean, we could get huge grants if we got that. And for years, they kept saying, oh, we can't get the large grants because we don't have museum accreditation. Well, we do have a chance to get it now if we want to go for it. That's all I got to say is let's save the museums and our collections. Don't put them in the hands of the developers and give them the keys to all our guns and stuff. I mean, I'm a paranoid person, I guess. But there's just millions there. It's Ogden's gold. We should keep them for us, you know. One more thing. There's one thing I'm worried about is a lot of our collections could end up in Salt Lake at the museums down there. And don't think that they wouldn't get passed around and we may not get them back. So we need to check into that. And I'm all for Union Station museums. I don't give a crap about the one they're going to build, because it won't hold more than 3 cars. It won't hold it won't hold nothing. It won't hold half of what we have. And we have the Utah State Railroad Museum. And so why are we letting Salt Lake City get all our glory? We need to be a little pushier. Thanks.
Thank you.
I love to push people.
Thank you.
Short people love doing that.
We have 2 hands online. We'll go first with a 908 area code. It's star 9 to talk. Star 6. Maybe try star 6. There we go.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Alex Maurer. Appreciate you guys taking all this into consideration again. I just wanted to, I guess, throw some comments out again about the ordinance 2023-55. Just from what I've gathered, you know, the planning board seems to be concerned about the space that they hit, that junkyards and salvage yards, rebuildable car lots take up. Some of the board members are concerned about the environmental impacts. Understand both. I guess just a comment regarding with the tow yards and not wanting to restrict them. I guess I'm questioning what the difference is really with the tow yard having a car sitting in a lot versus the salvage yards that Ogden generally has sitting on a lot. It's not like one car doesn't have oil and the other does. You know, they're really kind of doing the same thing. And then my other comment would just be that I really hope that you guys will consider in terms of how the salvage yards have adopted to newer ways, and you know, you can really limit the space that they take up without completely restricting any new licenses in Ogden. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Heath.
Hi, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. Teresa Bramwell brought up the jail bond thing that they are actually discussing at county tonight. They have a public hearing on that, so that's actually where Angel is tonight. But I just wanted to express support for it and for everybody to consider that it's going to save us money in the long run. Studies have shown that a single murder can cost anywhere from $12 to $20 million to a community. So this bond is to basically a big component of it is reducing recidivism, hardest word ever. And it basically can really help reduce crime in the long run is the hope. And I think it'll more than pay for itself. So I just wanted to lift that up and mention that. Thanks.
Thank you. Looks like we have one more person online. Ed McKinney.
Thank you and good evening. Can you hear me okay?
We got you okay.
Great. Thank you. Ed McKinney, Eden. Last year, retired school teacher Wendy Marcel was evicted from her hangar at the Ogden Airport and given 14 days to get out. A legal challenge ensued due to a mistake made by Ogden City. The judge dismissed the case against Wendy and awarded her $17,000 in attorney's fees. Ogden City continued to pursue Wendy Marcel and the eviction. And when told that should Wendy lose her fight against the city, that she would have to pay Ogden City 3 times the attorney's fees in a loss. As a result, she decided that it would be in her best interest to turn the keys over to her hangar. This was a hangar that she invested in and made improvements that were required by Ogden City. She owned for many, many years. This hangar was part of her planned retirement. It's been over a year and a half since she was awarded those attorney's fees, and yet to this date, she has not received a penny. Instead, and this is really the purpose of my talk, is that this past week, Ogden City and the city attorney, Gary Williams, filed for a summary judgment against Wendy. Why would you do that? You already have her hangar. Why would you ask her to incur more legal fees to defend herself in a summary judgment, which we are completely shocked and bewildered why Ogden City would make such a heartless move. And so my question is, why is this happening? And is this what the city council, is this how the city council wants a retired school counselor treated? And she's been an investor and a stakeholder in our airport. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I think we have one more, maybe.
Hi, Travis Pate, Ogden resident. I think the dynamic, I think the framework for Union Station and some of those other things that are coming into play, my take would be that we actually hold on to all the property, that we not just sell it for the lowest bidder or trade as incentives, because we keep using this cash cow called BDO because we own the land and we're leasing it and we're getting revenue. So let's not earmark any of that property. And I think as that framework comes into play, we can say, yeah, we've incentivized all the other individuals. Union Square, phase 2, we just gift $1 million plus of incentives without putting it on the market, without saying, hey, what are your proposals? We say that here's the multiple ways that individuals can come to us. So I think that it still needs to be refined because we keep incentivizing one, and there's also the aspect what says we can reject or accept any or all proposals, and the other dynamic is that we need to sometimes we just end up with the lowest common denominator, and I think that's we've kind of lost on that. We were promised when Porter Avenue went through the 2300 block to 2400 block that it would match the D School property. And when they tore down the Bertha Eccles Wright house, do we know who that is? Oh yeah, Eccles. But we tore it down. We watched it burn, so to speak, and then instead of thinking, let's see if there's a restoration person that can come in, we just allowed the property owner through liens or whatever other means to tear it down. And then, when Ogden City comes up here and says, did you tear down any historic properties? No, we didn't. Our hands are clean. I think we have history from that. It's called Pontius Pilate. Our hands are clean. I mean, it's kind of a strange dynamic. And then we look at junkyards along the river. We moved Bloom Recyclers to where they are so we could put the IRS center in. That's Ogden City. And so I think there needs to be a thorough internal investigation, so to speak, and an assessment that says, where are we? What have we done with RDA money? What have we done with RDA properties? Several of the homes on the 23rd, on the 800 block of 23rd Street. We owned that property 30 years ago. We owned the Rio Grande building. And we turned it back to Gotti Leishman, and we just sold those other types of things, and then we don't own it, and now it's collapsing in on itself. And yet it's a national landmark. It's part of our railroad history, but Rio Grande might not be as significant as Union Station, and yet I think it's just as significant because of the way the property came in. And so I think that that's what I'd like to say is just let's look and evaluate. And then also with Jefferson Avenue, we've still yet to see repairs from UTA driving all their heavy tractors and trucks and all the damage to the infrastructure in along Jefferson Avenue. And so I just encourage you to just say, we don't give people occupancy permits to move in until things are right. We give them UTA occupancy permit to drive tracks, but or drive Ogden X, but not. Thanks.
Thank you, Travis. Okay, I think thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts and for the civility. I did write down a few questions. The question about Mark Johnson came up in our work session, and Mary, I could try and give the answer that you gave, but I think you'd be more eloquent in how you explained what's going on there.
Sure, thank you. I am happy to just restate what I said in the work session about that. And I haven't looked at it myself, but I acknowledge it seems like there's some confusion the way it's, maybe it still currently looks on the Utah Transparency website. But he's not under contract with the city, but he is considered part-time still, which means it's not like full part-time, but really over the last, since he's retired over the last 12 weeks, he's worked a total of 21.75 hours. So that comes out to about $2,175. His hourly rate was calculated based on his salary at the time. So he's just a consultant to the city. And as I said in the work session, it's not uncommon that an individual that's had a lot of work history with the city, where Mark had been here for over 17 years, a lot of institutional knowledge, and if there were, just gives us the opportunity to give him a call, have conversations, and answer questions that we might have based on some of the experiences and that he's had in the past. So that's what we're doing, and we've had other employees that have retired, been here 10, 20, 30 years, and we have a similar arrangement with them as well.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And can we clarify that the council did not know and that they didn't need our approval to do this? Because she asked that as well.
Right, correct. Yeah, this isn't something that was required by the council to authorize, or it's. And I think you mentioned there each department has some part-time salary latitude to bring in and hire. So yeah.
We do. Yeah, there's a part-time budget line item in every department. This one for Mark is actually, found out since your question in work session, is coming out of some part-time funds in the management services budget. And all the departments have them. There's part-time employees who just fill in the gaps. We use them for, in the CED for special events and different kinds of things. There's some part-time employees in the police department. We have several in public work. So it just allows us to fill in some staffing needs apart from the full-time positions that are authorized by the council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
On that, Mayor, how long do you intend for that arrangement to continue?
It's completely discretionary. So if there are questions from time to time, we're available. They're available, but there's no requirement to call. There's, there hasn't been a lot of need for it, but it just gives us the opportunity. So it can end tomorrow, or a question could come up next week that we want to give them a call. So it's just completely discretionary, and it was a choice that the mayor and I made to have him stay on the books as a part-time employee in the event that questions came up, and some have just questions based on his experience and knowledge about projects that he's worked on in the past. So
I guess the question that comes to mind is, what's the limit? How far does it go, and for how long, and for how much is spent before it becomes kind of a workaround, an avenue to have FTEs that weren't authorized? Is there any?
Well, all I can say is that that's really not the intent. There's just a natural, seems there's a natural dropping off point with any employee that transitions out of the city, where at some point there really just aren't many questions that come up after a period of time. So I just anticipate that it would be similar to how other retiring employees would. Sometimes we just don't, the questions just wane in the future. But I really don't, I don't have an exact time frame for that.
Okay. I don't know anything about accreditation, so I don't know. I'm assuming that we have people that are working on that and understand that better than I do. And with the museums, I think the council has pretty much stated we would support the museum and want to see those artifacts maintained and held on. I can't really speak for everyone, but anyway. Again, the difference between tow yards and salvage yards, I don't know what the answer is. I would think that where the vehicles are worked on maybe depend, in a tow yard, you're working on it in a shop, maybe in a salvage, it's out there in the field, but I don't know. And I don't know if.
Can I make a comment too? I think his comment, his question is really appropriate and fair. It's a big reason why I had such a long pause. It's a big reason why this ordinance was such a challenge. So I think he poses a fair question, and as evidenced by changing votes, and it just goes to show how hard this one was for us to grapple with, and how much we've been wrestling with it between meetings too. So,
okay, thank you. I don't know about the airport situation that was brought up. If that's something we just discussed, we can,
Yeah, typically we don't discuss litigation matters in city council, but those matters are one's on appeal and the other one's on summary judgment motion. Those documents speak for themselves. I don't really want to classify them here, other than to say that those documents would support a much different description about what's going on than what we heard tonight.
Thank you. And then as far the Jefferson Avenue, as far as any road repairs or with that, I guess that's something we can take back and look at as well. So any comments from administration? Any additional comments, I should say? Thank you.
No additional comments other than I did appreciate the discussion tonight as well. And we're looking forward to the general plan process and being a collaborative process with the council and a lot of citizen involvement. So that's going to be a good process and it's getting underway, and we'll have more information about that as it does move forward.
Wonderful.
So, thank you.
Comments from the council?
I just have a quick comment, and I think it was evidenced by tonight that we are all trying to be a lot more transparent and open and have these conversations in the open. And so a lot of times there's not a lot of forgiving when we have these conversations, but I think it's really important for us to have them and in the public. So thank you for coming along with us on this little ride tonight. So thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Lopez.
Yeah, I just have another follow-up on the topic of the consulting. If Mr. Johnson won the lottery and went off to the Bahamas and didn't want to work for you anymore, what would you do? Who would you call? Or how would you answer or deal with the questions or the issues that you're bringing up to him right now? I'm just really curious about it.
Oh, if I have a lot of resources available to me. I have other city managers and city administrators within the state that might have had similar issues come up, or there's national resources. So it really depends on the question, but there's certainly plenty of general sources of information. But there could be just a quick question, or do you recall how you handled this? That it's just more efficient to call somebody who had been there. But I certainly have a lot of resources available. Wouldn't be lost but that's just for efficiency and to take advantage of institutional knowledge that I still have available to me. That's why I would make a call.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, and I personally, I won't get into details because I want to be respectful. But as if I were standing on that podium, maybe I would say that would be my choice, that you would call someone else. Thank you.
Chair Pro Tem.
Yeah, Councilmember Nadolski.
All right. I wanted to thank you for chairing a really challenging meeting. I also want to thank the council, staff, and the public for accommodating my busy evening. Solo dad tonight. You got 2 girls in 2 different sports in 2 different places, and actually 3 different sports in 3 different places tonight. So thank you for letting me participate electronically, trying to keep up the best I could while I was driving from one to the other, and then join in midway. So,
thank you. Chair Chaburka, any thoughts? Or,
I
first,
did
I guess
have one thought.
or Councilmember Heyer first.
I was disheartened over the weekend about the bombing of Israel. I know that's not a local issue, but it certainly does affect us all. And I think we got to be mindful and include this issue in our prayers if you do that, or your thoughts at least. This is something that I think it's pretty tragic. And just wanted to bring it to mind. I kind of wish I wish I could have brought that up before our moment of silence, because that certainly would have been an appropriate time for that.
Councilmember Blair. No, Chair Chaburka, any thoughts?
No, just thanks again so much for convening and facilitating this meeting. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I would just make a comment. I've been in different leadership organizations where a leadership changes, and I don't have a problem with Mark Johnson being consulted. I think it's an efficient way to understand maybe some things, issues that are from the past going forward. I don't see that as something that's a long-term thing, but I do see there is some value. And when I've gone into a new position as a leader, it's always nice to know that you can call and talk to the previous guy and ask him some questions about, or gal who may have some information to help moving everything forward. So I appreciate your willingness, Mayor, to step in and answer some questions on the spot earlier today. And so yeah. Okay, we now have a consideration of adjourning to a closed session.
Chair, I'd make a motion that we adjourn into a closed session for one of the items listed.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn into a closed session by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Nadolski. This is a roll call vote. I got it this time, guys.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ritchie.
Aye.
Chair Chaburka.
Okay. She may have disconnected. She's been having trouble with her connection at the hotel, but that passes. So this is the last you'll see us tonight. So thank you for coming. Those online will need to disconnect, move into the work session room.